On a warm afternoon at a moderately busy seaside restaurant, BTS's Suga was seen sitting casually wearing a dark Supreme t-shirt and a backwards blue cap, accompanied by RM seated to his left holding a small camera in his right hand while wearing glasses and a black cap. They appeared to be enjoying a relaxing moment amidst the lively ambience filled with diners, many of whom had already noticed the presence of the two BTS members. A few patrons in the background could be seen subtly holding back their excitement, while the waitstaff maintained their professionalism, ensuring a calm environment without drawing unnecessary attention. During this serene moment, a nearby fan, seemingly a dedicated follower of Jungkook, approached with an enthusiastic demeanor. From their body language and visible excitement, it was clear the fan was curious about why only Suga and RM were present. Suga, who had remained composed and relaxed from the beginning, responded with a polite and calm smile, slightly nodding and replying with a soft, brief movement of his lips before turning his attention back to the table in front of him. His expression showed no signs of discomfort or avoidance. On the contrary, he seemed open and unbothered by the brief interaction. Meanwhile, RM continued to enjoy the atmosphere without engaging much in conversation, focusing more on adjusting the small camera he held, possibly capturing moments for personal documentation. The environment remained calm with no disturbances or disruptions from other guests, and there were no visible personal security personnel around, reinforcing the impression that this gathering was casual and informal rather than part of any official work engagement. The restaurant staff also appeared accustomed to the presence of public figures, managing the setting with poise while ensuring the artist's privacy was respected without creating excessive distance. Suga's face looked fresh and cheerful, suggesting he was enjoying the moment, though a subtle trace of fatigue in his eyes hinted at ongoing work commitments even during this brief downtime. Regarding Jungkook's absence, there was no official statement or specific explanation given to the public, but from Suga's laid-back demeanor and his gesture that they had different work commitments, it was clear that the decision not to appear together wasn't unusual but rather a part of their everyday professional reality. This further underscored that despite being members of the same group, their individual careers and schedules often require flexible and independent arrangements. There was no sense of awkwardness or pressure between them. Instead, the overall mood was natural and pleasant, offering a glimpse into the human side of artists often seen under intense public scrutiny. This brief moment became a soft highlight on social media, especially as Suga uploaded the image with an emotionally simple caption, showing how even a peaceful lunch like this held personal meaning for the BTS members. The photo quickly circulated among fans, sparking warm reactions and positive comments, with most expressing joy at seeing them enjoy a quiet meal together while maturely accepting the professional reasons behind Jungkook's absence. 2 hours after the photo was posted by Suga on his personal Instagram account, the online response grew steadily but remained relatively composed, with thousands of fans leaving supportive messages that reflected a calm admiration rather than explosive excitement. The setting of the photo, a restaurant with wooden interiors, glassware neatly arranged on the table, and natural daylight illuminating the scene, added a sense of familiarity and intimacy that resonated with many who viewed it. As more images from that day began to surface, some taken discreetly by fans who were also dining at the venue, it became clear that the outing was not part of a scheduled public event or promotional shoot, but rather a private, spontaneous gathering, likely meant to provide a brief respite from their busy schedules. RM and Suga appeared unfazed by the cameras, neither encouraging nor avoiding attention, simply behaving as two longtime colleagues enjoying lunch without agenda. The calm demeanor displayed by both artists was especially notable considering how rarely they are seen in public without full entourage or strict time constraints. Not long after the post went live, fan discussions naturally shifted toward Jungkook's whereabouts, a question that had lingered ever since his absence in recent group or unit appearances. However, the tone of these conversations remained respectful, largely because Suga's quiet response to the fan at the restaurant had already given the answer. Jungkook was occupied with other professional commitments. Fans interpreted this with understanding, recognizing the increasing independence of BTS members as they navigate various personal projects and responsibilities. Some even took to compiling timelines and public schedules to confirm that Jungkook had been involved in studio sessions or production meetings in a different city, reinforcing the narrative that his absence was purely logistical. Within hours, entertainment media outlets began to pick up on the post, but their coverage remained minimal, likely due to the lack of any dramatic or controversial angle. Instead, the focus was on the visible camaraderie between Suga and RM, and how their shared presence conveyed a sense of consistency amidst the group's evolving chapter. Suga's simple act of uploading the photo, paired with his understated caption, seemed to speak volumes to fans about the unchanging bond between the members, even when they are not physically together. Meanwhile, at the restaurant, the atmosphere remained undisturbed despite the online buzz. Staff members continued to serve without disruption, and nearby patrons who recognized the celebrities chose to keep a respectful distance, contributing to a quiet agreement that this was their moment of peace. One restaurant employee, when later contacted by a local lifestyle blog, confirmed only that the artists were polite, reserved, and low-profile during their visit. The lunch eventually came to an end without spectacle, with RM and Suga exiting the venue quietly, blending into the afternoon crowd with the ease of individuals used to navigating public life without courting attention. There was no security escort visible, nor any dramatic departure. Just two figures calmly walking away after finishing a meal, reinforcing once again how grounded their public presence can be. The image they left behind of quiet conversation, relaxed posture, and mutual comfort remained in the minds of those who witnessed it, and for fans online, it became a soft reminder that even global celebrities can still seek out and find moments of normalcy, companionship, and privacy in the middle of a busy life. The next progression of the story unfolded naturally later that day, as the post continued to circulate among international fanbases and a handful of industry observers began weighing in on what the meeting might signify in the broader context of BTS's current trajectory. While there was no press release or official follow-up from any of the artists involved, the consistency of the public's reaction remained centered on appreciation rather than speculation. Digital communities focused on fan discussions, not headlines, and many of the responses praised the unfiltered, almost mundane quality of the moment. Two artists sharing a table without a scheduled live stream, no backdrop of endorsements, and no visible agenda other than enjoying a meal together. In some translated fan posts, Suga's calm reply to the fan question about Jungkook's absence, simply indicating that there were different work schedules, was reframed not as a deflection but as a gentle reminder of professional boundaries and mutual respect within the group. This quiet affirmation helped redirect the tone of the conversation online, steering it away from assumptions and toward reflection about the natural evolution of long-standing groups like BTS as their members continue to grow in diverse directions. As evening approached, more photos from surrounding tables subtly emerged, offering slightly different angles of the same lunch scene, but none deviated from the original mood. Relaxed, warm, and real. In one of the clearer shots, RM was seen smiling faintly while looking at Suga, who, in turn, rested an arm lightly on the table with his cap tilted back just enough to reveal the softness in his expression. Neither was speaking to the camera or performing in any discernible way, which led many observers to appreciate how rare such candidness had become. Entertainment columnists who had been following BTS for years noted in quiet commentary that the simplicity of this moment marked a maturity in the way the group chooses to interact with their audience. Rather than making grand gestures or responding to public curiosity with formal statements, they allowed reality to speak for itself. A shared table, a peaceful lunch, and a modest caption. Industry insiders recognized this pattern as a hallmark of seasoned artists who no longer needed to explain every move or presence. Meanwhile, within local circles in Seoul and among industry professionals who often work with BTS members behind the scenes, the tone was equally matter-of-fact. Several production crew members from unrelated projects acknowledged, off the record, that schedules for members like Jungkook had indeed become increasingly autonomous, filled with recording sessions, brand collaborations, and preparation for international commitments that required individualized planning. These working dynamics, far from suggesting division, reflected a deliberate structural shift that allowed each member to operate at their own pace while maintaining the foundation of their collective identity. Back in the restaurant, by the time most online discourse had settled into thoughtful commentary, the physical space had long returned to routine. The table where RM and Suga sat was cleared, reset for new customers, and the staff moved on with their usual service rhythm. Even for the few guests who had realized the significance of who had just dined among them, the memory seemed to be treated with quiet respect, as no recordings were released that compromised the artist's personal space. The day ended without drama, scandal, or spectacle, but rather with a gentle closing note that resonated deeply within those who have followed BTS not just as a phenomenon, but as individuals navigating adulthood in public. That resonance continued to ripple quietly across platforms not known for sensationalism, where the story of Suga's serene response and RM's thoughtful presence became a study in how global artists can maintain connection with their audience through stillness, honesty, and respect for the flow of everyday life. By the following morning, as the image continued to recirculate gently across fan platforms and smaller lifestyle media outlets, the focus of public conversation had shifted fully from Jungkook's absence to the broader meaning behind such an ordinary, peaceful gathering between Suga and RM. Without any additional commentary from either artist, the story naturally reached its quiet conclusion, sustained not by promotional pushes or algorithmic hype, but by the lasting resonance of a moment that felt authentic and accessible. Observers noted how rare it was for global figures of their stature to be seen in such a casual, unmediated environment, without stylists, crew, or obvious commercial framing, simply existing in public space with a quiet sense of purpose and ease. While speculation about future projects or collaborations briefly surfaced, those threads never overtook the central sentiment that had grounded the entire encounter. This was not a staged event or a strategic move, but a brief personal interaction between two colleagues who, after years of shared experience, had earned the comfort of being in each other's presence without needing to perform. The elegance of Suga's earlier gesture, acknowledging a fan's curiosity without offering more than was appropriate, remained a focal point in post-event commentary. It subtly reinforced boundaries while still honoring the connection between artist and fan, something that BTS has long been recognized for navigating with rare consistency. Commentators from cultural blogs and music media alike pointed out how this moment captured a shift in the way modern idols relate to their audiences, not through constant availability but through small, honest moments that reflect the reality of their lives offstage. Meanwhile, Jungkook's continued absence from the conversation was no longer treated as a mystery or a source of concern. His name was present only as context, not as controversy, thanks largely to the respectful tone set by Suga's response and the maturity of the fanbase in choosing not to amplify a non-issue. That maturity extended to the way fans engaged with one another across platforms, with many using the image as a reason to reflect on the group's history, its growth, and how individual paths are not necessarily a sign of fragmentation but of longevity. The restaurant itself, having now hosted a quiet moment that would ripple far beyond its walls, returned to its normal rhythm. There were no special signs, no attempts to capitalize on the celebrity presence. Just a brief acknowledgement from a few staff members when asked, describing the lunch as peaceful, brief, and kind. The simplicity of that summary mirrored the tone of the entire experience, which from beginning to end had unfolded without spectacle, without script, and without anything needing to be explained. In the days that followed, the post remained active but not viral, celebrated but not exaggerated, serving as a snapshot of something deeply human. Two people sharing time during a busy week, a fan asking a question with care, and an answer given with honesty and calm. In a landscape often dominated by narrative twists, coordinated rollouts, and media saturation, this story stood apart for what it chose not to be. It was not dramatic, not mysterious, not meant to lead to something bigger. It simply was. And in that choice to remain still, it left behind a sense of clarity that echoed further than most headlines ever could.